Commander Vex-Nine clicked his mandibles in what could only be described as cosmic frustration. Here he was, aboard the most advanced dreadnought in the Galactic Federation's fleet, staring at sensor readings that made absolutely no sense whatsoever. The humans, oh, those wonderfully predictable humans, had just done something so monumentally stupid that even his AI systems were having what organics might call a nervous breakdown. "Sir," Lieutenant WWII reported, her voice cracking like old parchment, "the human vessel, it's leaking." "Leaking what, Lieutenant? Fuel? Coolant? Their apparently non-existent common sense?" "Sir, it's leaking dihydrogen monoxide." The bridge fell silent. Not the kind of comfortable silence you get when everyone's focused on their work, but the kind of silence that happens when someone announces they've discovered fire is actually cold. Every being on the bridge turned to stare at WWII as if she just claimed the universe was made of cheese. "Excuse me?" Vex-Nine's voice dropped to a whisper. "Did you just say dihydrogen monoxide?" "Yes, sir. Massive quantities of it. Our sensors detect approximately 73% of their ship's mass consists of this substance." Captain Rex, the ship's chief science officer, let out a sound that was part laugh, part sob, and entirely terrified. "They're flying around the galaxy in a ship filled with the most corrosive, dangerous substance known to science? Are they completely insane?" "Well," Vex-Nine muttered, "that would explain a lot, actually." The truth was, every species in the galaxy knew about dihydrogen monoxide. It was the stuff of nightmares, the chemical boogeyman parents told their larvae about to make them behave. The substance was so dangerous that most civilizations had banned even talking about it, let alone transporting it through space, and here were the humans, apparently swimming in it. "Sir," Communications Officer Blip interrupted, "we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." "Put it on screen. Let's see what excuse they have for carrying around enough dihydrogen monoxide to dissolve half the galaxy." The main viewer flickered to life, revealing a human female with short brown hair and eyes that sparkled with what Vex-Nine was beginning to recognize as the particular brand of mischief that made humans so terrifyingly unpredictable. She was wearing some sort of blue uniform and appeared to be smiling. Smiling. While surrounded by enough dihydrogen monoxide to strip the paint off a battlecruiser. "Greetings," the human said cheerfully. "I'm Captain Maria Santos of the Earth vessel Poseidon. Thanks for responding to our distress call." "Distress call?" Vex-Nine managed to stammer. "You're asking for help while carrying enough dihydrogen monoxide to dissolve our ships?" Captain Santos tilted her head, looking genuinely confused. "I'm sorry, what? Dihydrogen mon, oh, you mean water?" The bridge erupted into gasps, clicks, and what sounded suspiciously like someone fainting in the back row. "Water?" Captain Rex whispered. "They call it water? They've given the galaxy's most dangerous substance a cute nickname?" "Captain Santos," Vex-Nine said carefully, "are you aware that you're carrying approximately 2,000 tons of the most corrosive substance in known space?" "Corrosive?" Santos laughed, and it was the kind of laugh that made Vex-Nine's exoskeleton itch. "Commander, I hate to break it to you, but water isn't corrosive to us. In fact, we kind of need it to live." Silence. Not just on the Federation ship, but apparently throughout the local sector, as if the universe itself had decided to take a moment and process this information. "Need it, to live?" Lieutenant WWII repeated slowly. "Oh yeah," Santos continued, still smiling that terrifyingly cheerful smile. "About 60% of our body weight is water. We drink it, cook with it, swim in it. Heck, I had a nice hot shower in it this morning." Captain Rex made a sound like a deflating balloon. They voluntarily expose themselves to dihydrogen monoxide for pleasure?" "Captain Santos," Vex-Nine said, his voice taking on the tone of someone addressing a particularly dangerous lunatic, "you do realize that dihydrogen monoxide can dissolve almost any substance given enough time?" "Well, Sure, if you're talking about the Grand Canyon or something. But that takes millions of years. We humans don't really worry about geological time scales when we're brushing our teeth. Brushing teeth with dihydrogen monoxide, Vex-Nine repeated. He was beginning to develop what humans might call a headache. Is there some kind of problem here? Santos asked, her smile faltering slightly. Our water recycling system is damaged, and we were hoping you might be able to help us repair it. We've got about 3 days' worth of drinking water left. 3 days' worth of drinking dihydrogen monoxide. Vex-Nine made a mental note to update his will. You drink it regularly? He asked weakly. Several times a day. Got to stay hydrated, you know. The Federation crew exchanged glances that conveyed volumes about their collective mental state. Here was a species that not only survived contact with the galaxy's most dangerous substance, but actively consumed it for fun. Captain Santos, Vex-Nine said slowly, has anyone ever explained to you exactly what dihydrogen monoxide is capable of? Water? Sure. It's great for cooling down engines, growing plants, making coffee, oh, and it's pretty good for drowning people if you're not careful around large quantities of it. Drowning people, Captain Rex whispered. They acknowledge its lethal properties and still bathe in it. Captain Santos, Vex-Nine tried again, dihydrogen monoxide is considered a universal solvent. It breaks down molecular bonds. It causes oxidation. It can exist in 3 different phases at normal temperatures. Most species consider it to be essentially liquid death. Santos was quiet for a moment, and Vex-Nine allowed himself to hope that perhaps, finally, he was getting through to her. Then she started laughing again. Commander, I think there might be some kind of translation error here. Water isn't dangerous to humans. It's water. We're made of the stuff. Made of it? Lieutenant WWII squeaked. Like I said, about 60%. Blood, saliva, tears, all mostly water. Our planet's surface is about 70% water. We've been living with it for millions of years. The implications hit the bridge crew like a meteor strike. These humans hadn't just learned to tolerate the galaxy's most dangerous substance, they had evolved from it. They were walking, talking bags of dihydrogen monoxide. Commander, Captain Rex said quietly, if they're composed primarily of dihydrogen monoxide, and they're comfortable in our atmosphere, then they're essentially biological weapons, Vex-Nine finished. Living, breathing containers of universal solvent. Can you help us with our water recycling system or not? Santos asked, apparently oblivious to the existential crisis she was causing. We're kind of on a schedule here. Vex-Nine looked around his bridge, taking in the faces of his crew. Terror, fascination, and what might have been respect warred for dominance in their expressions. The humans weren't just unpredictable, they were impossible. And apparently, they were also thirsty. Captain Santos, he said finally, we'll see what we can do. After all, what was the worst that could happen? 3 hours later, Commander Vex-Nine was seriously considering requesting a transfer to the Outer Rim territories, where the most dangerous thing he might encounter would be space pirates or maybe a rogue asteroid. Anything would be preferable to watching Chief Engineer Quill attempt to repair a human water recycling system while wearing no fewer than 7 layers of protective gear. Sir, Quill's voice crackled through the comm, muffled by his environmental suit, I've never seen anything like this. They've got dihydrogen monoxide flowing through pipes throughout their entire ship. It's like they built a delivery system for liquid death. Just fix it, Quill, Vex-Nine sighed. And try not to dissolve. Meanwhile, Captain Santos was giving Lieutenant WWII a tour of the human vessel, apparently unaware that every step she took was causing the Federation officer to break out in stress-induced bioluminescence. This is our hydroponics bay, Santos said cheerfully, gesturing to rows of green plants growing in what appeared to be pools of pure dihydrogen monoxide. We grow most of our fresh food here. You You're growing food in the dangerous substance? WWII managed to whisper. Well, yeah. Plants need water to survive. Same as us. Santos reached down and plucked a red spherical object from one of the plants. Tomato. Want to try one? WWII recoiled as if Santos had offered her a live grenade. That food has been exposed to dihydrogen monoxide. WWII, honey, the tomato is mostly water itself. About 95%, actually. The Federation officer made a sound that was part squeak, part sob. You eat dihydrogen monoxide-based life forms? Every day. Fruits, vegetables, meat, it's all mostly water when you get down to it. Santos took a bite of the tomato, and WWII watched in horrified fascination as the human casually consumed what should have been enough corrosive material to strip the molecular bonds from her digestive system. Instead, Santos just smiled and wiped some juice from her chin. Back on the Federation ship, Captain Rex was having his own crisis while analyzing the samples the humans had provided. Commander, he called over the comm, you need to see this data. Vex-Nine made his way to the science lab, where Rex was staring at his instruments with the expression of someone who had just discovered that mathematics was actually a form of interpretive dance. What is it, Captain? The human biological samples, sir. Their cellular structure, it's extraordinary. They don't just tolerate dihydrogen monoxide, they've weaponized it. Weaponized it how? Their blood, sir. It's a dihydrogen monoxide delivery system. They pump the stuff throughout their bodies at high pressure. And their saliva, it's designed to begin the dissolution process before they even swallow their food. Vex-Nine felt his secondary stomach drop. They pre-digest their meals with dihydrogen monoxide? It gets worse. They can project this substance at will. Project it? They call it spitting, sir. They can launch dihydrogen monoxide from their mouths with considerable accuracy. And crying, they leak it from their optical sensors when experiencing emotional distress. So when they're upset, they become more dangerous? Apparently so. And sir, they can also project it in aerosol form through their nasal cavities. Sneezing, Vex-Nine whispered. They can turn dihydrogen monoxide into an airborne weapon. The implications were staggering. These humans weren't just carriers of the galaxy's most dangerous substance, they were living, breathing dispensers of it. Meanwhile, back on the human ship, Santos was showing WWII the crew quarters. This is our bathroom, she said, opening a door to reveal what looked like a torture chamber designed by someone with an unhealthy obsession with dihydrogen monoxide. What is all this equipment? WWII asked, her voice barely audible. Oh, you know. Shower, sink, toilet. Basic hygiene stuff. Santos turned a handle, and dihydrogen monoxide began cascading from the ceiling in a torrential downpour. I love a good hot shower after a long shift. WWII watched in absolute horror as Santos began removing her uniform. You're not actually going to expose myself to dihydrogen monoxide for recreational purposes? Absolutely. Santos stepped under the falling liquid death and actually sighed with pleasure. This is the best part of my day. The Federation officer backed away slowly, convinced she was witnessing some sort of elaborate suicide ritual. The water pressure's a bit low, Santos commented, running the deadly substance through her hair. That's probably related to our recycling system problem. How are you not dead? WWII finally managed to ask. Santos paused in her shampooing. Dead? From showering? WWII, are you feeling okay? But the dihydrogen monoxide, it should be dissolving your cellular structure. Honey, I think you're overestimating how dangerous water is. I mean, it can be dangerous if you drown in it, but for basic hygiene. Santos trailed off as she noticed WWII's expression. Wait a minute. You guys are actually afraid of water, aren't you? Back on the Federation ship, Chief Engineer Quill was making a disturbing discovery. "Commander," he reported, "I've figured out why their recycling system failed." And? It didn't fail, sir. They exceeded its capacity. How? They were using it to create recreational dihydrogen monoxide, sir. Apparently, they have something called a swimming pool. Vex-Nine felt his world tilt slightly. A swimming pool? A large container filled with dihydrogen monoxide, sir. They immerse their entire bodies in it for fun. For fun. Yes, sir. The human I spoke with seemed very disappointed that they had to drain it to conserve their drinking supply. At this point, Vex-Nine was beginning to understand why the humans had been so successful in their brief time as a spacefaring species. Any race crazy enough to swim in universal solvent was probably capable of anything. "Sir," Communications Officer Blip interrupted, "Captain Santos is requesting permission to come aboard our ship." "Absolutely not," Vex-Nine said immediately. "We are not allowing a walking container of dihydrogen monoxide onto our vessel. She says she wants to thank us personally for our help, sir. And she's bringing something called coffee as a gift." Captain Rex looked up from his instruments, his face pale. "Commander, according to my scans, coffee is approximately 98% dihydrogen monoxide. They want to bring us a gift of concentrated dihydrogen monoxide? With some kind of organic compounds mixed in for flavor, apparently." Vex-Nine closed his eyes and tried to remember why he had ever thought a career in space exploration was a good idea. Here he was, face to face with a species that treated the galaxy's most dangerous substance like a recreational beverage, and they wanted to share. "Sir," Lieutenant ZYX's voice came over the comm from the human ship, "Captain Santos would like to know if we'd be interested in establishing a cultural exchange program." "A what?" "She thinks our species could learn a lot from each other. Apparently, she's very curious about how we survive without regular dihydrogen monoxide consumption." Vex-Nine looked around his bridge, taking in the faces of his crew. They looked back at him with expressions that ranged from terror to fascination to what might have been admiration. These humans were impossible. They were walking violations of everything the galaxy thought it knew about chemistry, biology, and basic survival instincts. They drank universal solvent, bathed in it, grew their food in it, and apparently considered it so harmless they wanted to share it as a gesture of friendship, and somehow, that made them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. "Tell Captain Santos," Vex-Nine said finally, "that we accept her offer of cultural exchange. But she's keeping that coffee on her side of the airlock." After all, there were limits to interspecies diplomacy. And his limit was approximately 98% dihydrogen monoxide. The humans might be impossible, but they were also undeniably impressive. Any species that could turn the galaxy's most feared substance into a morning beverage was probably worth getting to know, from a safe distance, with protective gear, and possibly a lawyer.